Hello and welcome to Secrets of Organ Playing podcast.
This is a show dedicated to helping you become a better organist.
We're your hosts, Vidas Pinkevičius.
And Aušra Motuzaitytė-Pinkevičienė.
We have over 30 years of experience of playing the organ.
And we've been teaching thousands of organists online from 89 countries since 2011.
So now let's jump in and get started with the podcast for today.
We hope you'll enjoy it.
Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Aušra.
Let's start episode 750 of Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. And this question was sent by Matt, our channel member. And he wants to know, do different keys have different emotions? If we play in only one root home key, does it make any difference? So it's a little complicated explanation that Matt uses, but I think he wants to know if tonalities have different emotions. Different tonalities have different emotions. Something like that, Ausra?
Yes, I think that's what he got in mind.
So obviously that's a very broad question, and it relates to tuning and temperament. Well, where would we start, Ausra?
Well, let's say at the beginning that in my opinion, tonality now is less important probably than it was before. And let me explain why I think like this. Because most of the time now we use the equal temperament. So basically every tonality sounds the same.
It can sound higher or lower,
but
the color of
yes.
that tonality, character, today in equal temperament sounds the same because the distances between the semitones always are
equal.
They are equal 100 cents basically. One octave is 1200 cents. And in earlier days, that was not always the case. Tuning and temperament systems were different and not equal. Those semitones were divided not equally, basically, and there were different systems, right, Ausra?
Yes, and that time is when the tonality was really important, and you could not choose, certain tonalities. And of course, every of it had a particular meaning, and there was a time, in music history when treatises were written, about describing emotions which each, key expresses. I remember once I was invited to lead a concert. It was, back when I taught music theory at the Čiurlionys art school, and kids were playing, piano pieces. And I had to talk about tonalities and what we meant, and it was really a hard thing because most of the kids played either in C major, in A minor. Some maybe did some F major and G major, maybe D minor, but that's about it. So there were like 5 or 6 different tonalities that I had, to discuss, and it was so redundant all the time,
I think we should mention some of those systems which were popular in Baroque times, in the day before Bach, in the Bach's time too. For example, one of the earliest ones was mean tone temperament, right? And mean tone temperament has a system where you tune your keyboard instrument with pure sounding major thirds, and those pure sounding major thirds make your major chord, major triad, so pure, so perfect. And that's one of the reasons why most of the Baroque pieces are written at the end of the piece. You end in major key, even though the piece is written in a minor key. We would end in a major key, right?
Because major third would sound more pure and more perfect than
it's called the Picardy third, this major third at the end of the piece written in a minor key. So mean tone temperament, and they had the 6 comma mean tone, quarter comma mean tone, basically this comma which was leftover interval from tuning the instrument in perfect major thirds. They would divide it into 6 parts or 4 parts, those commas, and therefore some of the keys were harsher sounding than others, much harsher. For example, C major was so pure and sweet. Would play, if we want to play in A major, 3 sharps, it's possible, but it's already different and much more dissonant.
And of course, we need to talk about what the tonality expresses, because certain tonality expresses certain mood, and there were description given to each tonality, to what kind of mood it expresses. And actually composers followed it quite closely, and it was really important for them. But temperament, tuning issues, and the tonality was always very closely related.
Yeah, and later when the music started to become more advanced, more chromatic, composers start to write in more distant keys, more advanced keys and chords. And in systems in tuning, keyboard instruments were invented to accommodate that. More well-tempered systems, so to say, that you could play in all 24 keys with different characters and feelings between them still, but you could effectively use 24 keys. Those well-tempered systems were used already in Bach's day, but even before him already. So like Kirnberger, Werkmeister, and later, especially Neidhart temperament, and Neidhart had several developments of his temperament, and each of them with higher or lesser degree of accommodating those keys, so that you could still play in all 24 keys, but the character between those keys would still be felt.
Yes, and again, if we are talking about tonalities, key signatures are very important. For example, let's take a moment and look at Bach's compositions. For example, E flat major, Prelude and Fugue. Those 3 flats were very important because basically it's a symbol of the Holy Trinity. And if we would look at the fugue, it also has 3 parts in it, which again supports that idea of the Holy Trinity. And if you would think about Bach's B minor Mass, why he chose that key, and you would compare the mood of his B minor Mass with his Prelude and Fugue for organ, which is also in B minor, you would find really similarities in that really somber and heavy mood.
Yes, and let's say Beethoven wrote Sonata Pathétique, right? In C minor, right? The same tonality as the Fifth Symphony. So it's a very dramatic key. A lot of turmoil and emotion is going on in these pieces, in these compositions. and this particular C minor key expresses this. Of course, we should not forget that within musical composition we could venture and modulate into other keys, related keys or not related keys.
But well, it's then more related to, you know, composition, how it's built up, but not probably with the entire mood of, you know, piece, the opening tonality and the ending tonality is, it's, you know, predominant. So it's basically, it rules the entire piece.
Yes, so when we say that today tonality is less important than it was before, it's true only to some degree, because we still continue that tradition. We still have the symbolism in our heads. We still have the baggage of composers who lived before us, and we wouldn't write normally, let's say, a Christmas pastoral in B minor key.
Sure.
Very dramatic.
Then we
and
usually choose
somber key.
probably like F major or G major. These are two very common, you know, keys for pastorals.
And vice versa for
and like royal music often chooses like the key of D major. You know, many fanfares are written in D major.
Yes, and that was partly true because the timpani were tuned in D major.
Yeah.
Right? And even a lot of organs, if you have acoustical timpani,
Yes.
two pipes sounding
Yes.
together, vibrating together, and making that timpani sound, they are quite often tuned in D.
So you can see, you know, how all this is related together, the tonality and, you know, the instrument and the temperament. It all works together in harmony. And of course, it's beneficial to read about these things when you're choosing a particular piece, because that might set you up in a right mood, you know, and it may help, you know, your performance, you know, and your interpretation.
Good question. So before we continue this discussion, I'd like to take a sip from our Secrets of Organ Playing mug. Ausha, would you like some?
No, thank you.
Why not? You have your own?
Well, I just received the message that we received another ticket, parking ticket, so I'm really anxious to...
Parking ticket?
Yes, to end up with, you know, podcast and to see what is happening actually. We are very unfortunate this year with parking tickets.
Yeah, this summer we got 2 tickets.
Anyway,
but
maybe don't go there.
But they were, I think, they were made by accident, not in our fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't our fault, so we didn't have to pay, but still we got the ticket. We had to prove that we were not we were innocent.
Well, and the last thing, you know, that Matt mentioned in his question, if you don't change like tonality throughout the piece, does it make any like difference or?
I think it does, because one tonality has one color. If you have a painting which predominantly has one color, and if it's a miniature painting, this one color dominates entire painting, and that's okay. But if it's a big canvas through entire wall, then if you only have one color, then it's very specific. Of course, there are paintings like that, especially in modern times, but there is a very specific reason why creator chose this, right? The same is for composition. If composer for 5 minutes or 6 or 10 minutes uses only C major key, no other key signatures, no chromatic notes at all, so then we get only the feeling of C major and one character, right? And that's possible But then, of course, the danger is for that kind of composition to become monotonous and boring.
Yeah.
And there are then other technical compositional means to employ. Instead of changing keys, a composer could change meter, rhythm, and melody, and make it dynamics, right? To make it more varied. In organ terms, we could use different registrations or to change color, but the key could remain the same. So traditionally, obviously, tonal style requires to change keys once in a while, to modulate two other keys and then come back to original key at the end of the piece. That's traditional way of writing. But of course, today everything is allowed, so the only probably prerequisite is that you would think that the piece still should sound interesting, and this level and degree of interesting is of course up to composer.
Well said.
All right, thank you so much guys and Matt for your question. Please send us more. We love helping you grow. And remember, when you practice,
Miracles happen.
This podcast is supported by Total Organist, the most comprehensive organ training program online.
He has hundreds of courses, coaching and practice materials for every area of organ playing, thousands of instructional videos and PDFs. You will not find more value anywhere else online.
Total Organist helps you to master any piece, perfect your technique, develop your sight reading skills, improvise or compose your own music, and much, much more.
Sign up and begin your training today at organduo.lt and click on Total Organist. And of course, you will get the first month free too. You can cancel anytime.
If you like our organ music, you can also support us on Buy Me a Coffee platform.
Find out more at buymeacoffee.com/organduo.